Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you of a principle that governs every healthy relationship. Anything forceful will never last. Too many of us spend our days chasing, begging, writing, and calling people who have already shown us through their actions that they do not value our presence. And the longer you chase, the more exhausted you become. We often think that by putting in more effort, we can convince someone to care. But listen to me carefully. Love, respect, and connection are never built on one-sided effort. Chasing someone will only push them further away, because when something is right for you, it does not run from you. Don't beg. Begging for attention lowers your worth. Every time you play for someone's time, affection, or validation, you tell yourself, I am not enough as I am. And hear this clearly, if someone cannot appreciate you without being begged, they are not meant for you. Relationships, whether personal or professional, require mutual investment. If you are the only one reaching out, it's time to reevaluate your position. Stop writing. Stop calling. Why are we continuing to engage with people who have made it clear they are not interested? Some of us text, message, or call repeatedly, hoping to fill the silence. But here's the truth: silence itself is a message. When someone is not responding, they are communicating their priorities. You are not one of them. Don't take it personally. Rejection is simply redirection. When someone walks away from you, they are making room for those who belong in your life. Do not fight to hold on to those who are trying to leave. Your value is not determined by someone else's decision to stay. You are complete, whole, and worthy with or without their validation. Remember this: what is yours will naturally align with you. There is no need to chase what was never meant to be yours in the first place. True relationships are not burdensome, they flow. And when you learn to step back, you'll realize that the people who truly care for you will make an effort to stay. They will call you, write to you, and show up without being asked. So I say to you today, stop chasing. Stop begging. Use that energy to grow yourself, to love yourself, and to elevate your life. The right people will come when you least expect it, and they will stay because they want to, not because you begged them to. Be still. Be at peace. And let what belongs to you come. Value yourself, because when you recognize your worth, you no longer feel the need to chase after what's uncertain. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. If you keep pouring your energy into people who do not reciprocate, you are telling them and yourself that your time and attention are cheap. But when you learn to value your presence, you naturally develop boundaries, knowing that not everyone deserves access to your life. When you value yourself, you stop measuring your worth through someone else's acceptance. You begin to understand that it's not rejection you should fear, but the loss of your dignity while pursuing someone who was never meant for you. People can sense how you see yourself, and when you project confidence and self-respect, the right connections will be drawn to you. It's also about recognizing that you are whole as you are. You don't need someone's attention to complete you. When you love yourself fully, you stop begging for scraps of affection. You give people the freedom to walk away, knowing that their absence does not diminish your value. The right relationships will never make you feel like you're hard to love or too much to handle. They will affirm what you already know, that you are enough. Chasing disrupts your peace because it forces you into a state of emotional imbalance. When you chase someone, whether for love, friendship, or validation, you shift your focus outward, trying to control something that's beyond your power. Instead of being present and content within yourself, your thoughts become consumed with how to win someone's attention, affection, or approval. This creates anxiety and restlessness as your happiness becomes dependent on someone else's response. The act of chasing pulls you away from your sense of inner calm. It leaves you in a constant state of waiting for a message, a call, or a sign that the other person cares as much as you do. Every moment of silence feels like rejection, and every unanswered text triggers self-doubt. This disrupts the peace of mind you need to grow and thrive, as your self-worth starts to fluctuate based on how others treat you. Peace comes from knowing that you are enough with or without someone's approval. Chasing, however, tells you that what you seek is more important than your own well-being. It makes you forget that relationships built on mutual effort come naturally. They don't require you to chase. True peace is found in stepping back and trusting that what belongs in your life will stay without being forced. By letting go, you make space for what aligns with you, allowing calm to return and freeing yourself from the exhausting cycle of pursuit. Begging lowers your self-worth because it sends a message not just to others, but to yourself that you are not enough on your own. Each time you plead for someone's attention, affection, or acceptance, you place their validation above your own dignity. This slowly erodes your sense of self and creates a dangerous belief that your value is tied to their response. Begging shifts the power dynamic, giving the other person control over your happiness and emotional stability, which can leave you feeling helpless and unworthy when they don't respond as hoped. When you beg, you are essentially saying, I need you more than I need myself. This creates unhealthy attachments because your emotional well-being becomes dependent on their actions. You start tolerating mistreatment, inconsistency, or neglect, all in the hope that they'll finally give you what you're asking for. Over time, this attachment becomes a form of emotional bondage where you find it hard to let go, even when the relationship is clearly draining you. Unhealthy attachments breed insecurity and fear. You become so focused on not losing the other person that you lose yourself in the process. Instead of standing firm in your own value, you compromise your boundaries and make excuses for behavior you'd never accept if you truly believed in your worth. This cycle of begging and attachment leads to exhaustion because you are constantly trying to prove yourself to someone who may never meet you halfway. True relationships are built on mutual respect, not desperation. When you value yourself, you understand that being with someone who doesn't appreciate you only diminishes your joy. Letting go of the need to beg frees you from emotional dependence and restores your confidence. It allows you to reconnect with your own sense of worth, knowing that the right people will honor your presence without you having to ask or beg for it. Relationships thrive when both sides invest equally because mutual effort creates trust, respect, and emotional safety. When two people contribute their time, energy, and care, it builds a foundation of balance, ensuring that neither feels taken for granted. Relationships that are healthy and sustainable grow through shared responsibility. Both parties actively nurture the bond instead of relying on one person to carry the weight. This equality fosters a sense of partnership where both individuals feel valued and appreciated. When only one person is doing all the investing, whether through constant communication, problem solving, or emotional support, the relationship becomes lopsided. Over time, the one who overinvests begins to feel drained, resentful, or unappreciated, while the other becomes complacent or indifferent. Unequal effort can foster feelings of inadequacy, as it leaves one person wondering if they're doing something wrong or if they simply don't matter as much to the other. Mutual investment also requires emotional availability. Both individuals need to be willing to give and receive love, support, and attention without hesitation or manipulation. This openness builds trust and strengthens the bond, making it easier to overcome challenges together. In relationships where both people invest equally, there is a natural give and take. Each one finds joy in contributing to the other's happiness without feeling forced or burdened. True equality in relationships isn't about keeping score or matching every effort tit for tat. It's about showing up with the same level of intention and care. Both people must feel seen, heard, and valued. This shared commitment creates a sense of security and belonging, knowing that neither person is chasing or begging for affection, but instead both are choosing each other every day. Equal investment allows love, respect, and connection to flow naturally, creating a space where both individuals can flourish together. Silence teaches the power of dignity and boundaries because it allows you to reclaim control over your emotions and protect your inner peace. When someone disrespects you or neglects your efforts, responding with silence is not weakness, it's strength. It's a declaration that you will not engage in behavior that diminishes your value or energy. Silence communicates that you respect yourself enough to walk away from conversations or situations that don't align with your worth, instead of forcing explanations or justifications or justifications. Choosing silence sets clear boundaries. It says, this is the line I will not cross without needing to verbalize it. By refraining from arguing, pleading, or constantly reaching out, you protect yourself from unnecessary emotional strain. Silence creates a barrier that forces others to either reflect on their behavior or realize that they cannot take your presence for granted. It draws attention to the fact that access to you is a privilege, not a right. Silence helps you develop emotional discipline. When you resist the urge to respond impulsively, whether in anger, frustration, or desperation, you show that you are in control of yourself. This discipline reinforces your dignity, teaching you that your self-worth does not depend on someone else's approval or response. Instead of over-explaining yourself or chasing closure, silence allows you to process your thoughts in a calm space, helping you respond intentionally rather than react emotionally. Silence is also a powerful tool for self-preservation. It shifts the focus from external noise to internal clarity, reminding you that you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. It teaches others that your peace and well-being come first, and if they wish to engage with you, they must meet you on respectful terms. By embracing silence, you communicate without words that not everything or everyone deserves your attention, and in doing so, you affirm your dignity and maintain your boundaries. Constantly pursuing others makes you forget your own importance because it shifts your focus entirely onto them, leaving little room for self-care, personal growth, or emotional well-being. The more energy you pour into chasing someone's attention or approval, the more disconnected you become from your own needs and desires. Instead of nurturing your goals, passions, and identity, you become preoccupied with proving your worth to others, whether through endless texts, favors, or gestures to stay relevant in their lives. Over time, this pursuit can diminish your self-esteem. You begin to believe that your value lies in how others respond to you, which creates a dangerous dependency. If they ignore you, you feel unworthy. If they show interest, you feel validated. This back and forth becomes emotionally exhausting as your sense of self fluctuates based on someone else's actions. You forget that your importance is intrinsic. It doesn't depend on how others treat you or whether they choose to stay in your life. Chasing also takes a toll on your mental and emotional health. It leads to burnout, frustration, and resentment, especially when your efforts aren't reciprocated. You might find yourself making compromises you never intended, lowering your standards, ignoring red flags, or sacrificing your boundaries, all in the hope of keeping someone close. But in the process, you lose sight of your own worth and the things that truly matter to you. When you stop pursuing others, you create space to reconnect with yourself. You begin to remember that you are worthy of love, respect, and meaningful relationships, not because you chased or begged for them, but because they align with who you are. Instead of running after people who are indifferent, you can focus on becoming the best version of yourself. When you honor your own importance, the right connections will naturally find their way into your life without force or desperation. The right people will find a way to be in your life because genuine connections don't require manipulation, constant chasing, or desperate effort. Relationships that are meant to last come naturally, built on mutual understanding, respect, and shared values. When someone truly values you, they will make space for you in their life without you having to beg for attention or force your way in. Real relationships feel balanced, they flow with ease, and both parties willingly invest time and energy to stay connected. Forcing relationships creates frustration and emotional exhaustion. If you have to constantly remind someone of your worth or fight to stay relevant, it's a sign that the connection may not be aligned with you. Healthy relationships don't feel like an uphill struggle. Instead, they thrive on mutual effort, where both people show up willingly and consistently. Forcing anything only creates tension, leading to feelings of rejection and disappointment when the other person doesn't reciprocate at the same level. Letting go of the need to force things brings a deep sense of peace. It allows you to trust that what's meant for you will come in its time, and the right people will show up and stay without being chased. Life becomes lighter when you realize that you don't have to prove your value to anyone. The people who are meant for you will recognize your worth without needing constant reminders. They will respect your boundaries and make an effort because they care, not because you pressure them to. When you stop forcing relationships, you allow space for what's truly meant for you. People who belong in your life will honor your presence, respect your time, and show up authentically. They won't leave you questioning your importance or wondering where you stand. Trusting this truth frees you from the emotional turmoil of trying to hold on to the wrong people. It shifts your energy back to yourself, giving you the freedom to focus on your growth and happiness while allowing the right relationships to unfold naturally. Calling or texting without reciprocation reveals who truly values your presence, because it exposes the difference between mutual care and one-sided effort. Communication is a two-way street. When someone genuinely cares about you, they will make an effort to respond and engage. It doesn't require grand gestures. A simple reply, a thoughtful message, or a return call is enough to show that your presence matters to them. But when your outreach is consistently met with silence or indifference, it becomes a clear sign of where you stand in their life. Unreciprocated communication teaches you the importance of recognizing unequal effort. If you're always the one initiating conversations, it creates an unhealthy dynamic where you feel like you are chasing after attention that should come naturally. This one-sided pursuit can leave you emotionally drained, constantly questioning whether you're bothering them or if they truly care. It also leads to feelings of rejection, eroding your self-esteem as you wonder why your presence seems unimportant to them. True connections don't feel forced. When someone values you, they will make time, no matter how busy life gets. A lack of response is not always a matter of being busy. It's often a reflection of priorities. People who genuinely care will find ways to stay in touch, even through the smallest efforts. On the other hand, consistent silence reveals that you may not hold the same place in their life as they do in yours, and that's an important truth to accept. Understanding this truth frees you from the cycle of pursuing those who don't prioritize you. It allows you to realign your energy toward people who show up for you willingly. Relationships, whether romantic or platonic, are healthiest when both sides engage with mutual respect and care. If you find yourself constantly initiating without reciprocation, it's a sign to step back and reevaluate. The right people will reciprocate naturally, making it clear that your presence is valued not because you had to keep calling or texting, but because they genuinely care. A person's absence is an answer because actions, or the lack thereof, speak louder than words. When someone consistently chooses not to show up in your life, whether emotionally, physically, or through communication, it reveals where their priorities lie. Absence signals that they may not value the connection in the same way you do. And trying to fight or deny this reality only prolongs your emotional pain. Instead of clinging to hope for things to change, it's essential to accept what their absence is showing you, that some people aren't meant to stay in your life no matter how much you want them to. Fighting against someone's absence often leads to unnecessary heartache. You may find yourself making excuses for them, overextending yourself, or chasing after closure, hoping they'll return or explain themselves. But doing so only delays your healing. Their absence is a form of communication. Perhaps they've outgrown the relationship, their interests have shifted, or they don't feel as invested as you do. Accepting this truth allows you to let go with grace, instead of forcing something that isn't meant to be. Recognizing absence as an answer also teaches you to honor your own worth. When someone doesn't show up for you, it's a reminder that your time and energy are valuable, and they shouldn't be spent on people who don't reciprocate. Holding on to relationships that are no longer aligned drains your emotional resources and blocks new, meaningful connections from entering your life. Letting go isn't about bitterness or resentment, it's about peace and self-respect. When you stop fighting what's being shown to you, you release yourself from the struggle of trying to change people or situations that are beyond your control. The right people will make their presence known and will meet you with the same effort and care you give. Their absence is their choice, and accepting it is yours. Investing your energy in yourself is one of the most transformative decisions you can make, as it sets the stage for attracting the right connections into your life. When you prioritize your personal growth, well-being, and happiness, you radiate a different kind of energy, one that draws in people who resonate with your authentic self. This shift in focus helps you cultivate self-love and confidence, creating a solid foundation from which healthy relationships can flourish. When you dedicate time to self-investment, whether through pursuing hobbies, enhancing skills, nurturing your mental and physical health, or setting personal goals, you begin to define your identity outside of others. This process allows you to understand your own values, needs, and aspirations more clearly, empowering you to seek relationships that align with your vision of a fulfilling life. You become less likely to tolerate unhealthy dynamics as you learn to recognize what you truly deserve. As you invest in yourself, you cultivate an aura of positivity and self-assuredness that naturally attracts like-minded individuals. People are drawn to those who exude confidence and self-respect because it inspires them to reflect on their own lives. When you take care of your emotional and mental health, you also become a better friend, partner, or colleague. You're more capable of giving love and support because you have nurtured yourself first. This journey of self-investment doesn't mean isolating yourself or becoming self-absorbed. Rather, it encourages you to create a balanced life where personal growth coexists with the desire for connection. When you prioritize your own well-being, you'll notice that the right people start to gravitate toward you individuals who appreciate your growth, support your journey, and align with your values. They will see the effort you put into yourself and want to share in that positive energy. Investing your energy in yourself empowers you to attract authentic, meaningful relationships without the need for chasing or forcing connections. As you elevate your own life, you open the door for others who are on similar paths to join you, enriching your journey with love, support, and companionship. The right connections will not only align naturally, but will also enhance the life you are actively building for yourself. In conclusion, it is essential to recognize that your self-worth is not determined by the attention or validation of others. By refusing to chase, beg, or settle for less than you deserve, you reclaim your power and affirm your importance. The absence of those who do not value you is not a reflection of your worth.